Git is an excellent system for version control. It is the de facto version control as of today, 2018. However, it is also complex. So in most functions, you are using it on day to day, and you know how to do merge, how to do pull request, how to do commit, but many of us are not familiar with the underlying infrastructure, and thus we do not understand what it's doing. So if we get to understand this underlying infrastructure which sits below Git on how it was conceptuated, then we'll be able to guess the commands, because it's very difficult to go to the manual and look at all the commands and all the options. It's just so complex. And therefore I want to cover one concept in Git which can help you understand it much better. So first we need to acknowledge that Git is complex. Now that we acknowledged it, are we sure about it? I mean, just look at these websites, for example, ohshitgit.com. Yeah, ohshitgit.com. And if you look at this website, what the author did, except for the very nice name, which is Oh Shit Git, he's saying Git is hard, screwing up is easy, and figuring out how to fix your mistakes is fucking impossible. So here it gives you a list of commonly things which mess up with Git. Oh shit, I did something terribly wrong, please tell me. Git magic time machine, okay, Git reflog and such. We'll cover this in future lectures. And there is another very useful website for you to know, which is gitfightrules.com, which teaches you how to fight with Git. So gitfightrules.com. And here again you get many rules about how to use Git, especially in the cases where you did something wrong and you need to get out of it. Delete, remove arbitrary commit, I need to add state changes, and you have here a list of common things which you need to do and how to do them in mostly a single line. So these two websites are very useful. So let's get back to our lecture. What we wanted to do is to understand Git. Git and not only clone its commands, right? So one thing, in order to understand Git, we need to get inside the head of the person that created Git. The person that created Git is Linus Torvalds, which is also the creator of Linux. So this guy is very smart, but one of the basic concepts that this guy likes is that everything is a file. So what we need to do in order to understand Git, we need to check which files Git utilizes, such as configuration files. And what we see these files, things will become easier, I promise you. So the things to know about Git configurations is that there are three places for configurations. There is one, the system configuration. The second thing is the global configuration. And the third is the local configuration. The system configuration is a configuration which is global to your whole system. So if you use a MacBook, it's a Git configuration for your whole MacBook. The global is for your user, we'll see them, and the local is for a specific repository. So when Git needs something, for example, to know to which branch, to which remote it points, then in this case, what you can do is look at the configuration. So you can use the standard git command git config in order to get configuration, but what you need to know is that when you use git to get configuration, first goes to the system configuration, then overrides it with anything which overrides from the global configuration, and then it goes to the local configuration to override. So it's three layers of configuration, which is used commonly in software development. One, the global machine configuration, which is the system configuration. The global configuration per user, this is for user. This is for machine. And this one is for a specific repository. Alright, so let's do some checks about my Git configuration. I start the terminal, and in the terminal I'm going to check my configuration, my Git configuration. Okay, alright, so we said we had four types of configuration. If I just type git config, then it shows me the help for the Git configuration, and as you can see here, we can do ---- global and ---- system and ---- local. So let's get, for example, all the global configuration, or you know what, all the system configuration. So we do just git config ---- list system. But it's unable to find. So I don't have any system configuration for Git. Let's see if I have any global configuration for Git. Git config, and showing you, it's also showing you the exact file which is looking. It was actually going to just go to this file and list it. ---- global. Nothing on my global. Let's clone a repository. And if I clone a repository, then I would see the local configuration. Alright, so let's see, let's clone some repository. Let's clone the git file tools repository. Git clone, and I'm cloning the git file whose repository. Alright, so if I do now git config ---- local, which is the local repository configuration, ---- local, then I'm not in any repository right now. So it's telling me there is no .git config, which is showing us where it's expecting the file to be. So let's move inside the repository. The repository is git file tools. So git config ---- local, and now it's showing me the configurations from this local file. Let's scan these configurations. Repository format version, file mode, bear. I tell you the truth, I don't know many of these configurations, but let's move on. This is the important one. The remote URL for this repository is this one, and the fetch is from here, and the branch of the master of the remote is the origin, and the branch for merge is master. So let's look at this actual file in order to see how Git was able to show us these configurations. So when you do git push, it's looking at this remote origin URL. So now you know how your git push knows where to go, right? So let's less.git, because it told us that this is where the file is, config. What you see here is exactly the same configuration that we saw when we did the git list. Repository format version is 0, and this is the remote origin. So if you looked before, then you saw that we had the dot notation in the configurations. For example, we had branch.master.remote. We didn't have these sections, but if you look at the file, you see that we have branch in a square brackets dot master, as if it's a dot master. This is its way to add a middle section, and then dot remote and dot merge. This is simply the format of the file. It's taking something from the file and then adding the dot in order to create the nice keys. So what if we want, for example, to add a new key? Okay, let's try to add a new key into the configurations. So adding a new key, if you use the git config before, is just saying git config, let's add my section dot my subsection. It doesn't have to be my subsection. Dot my key and then my value. This is the value. Okay, so let's now read it. Git config my section dot my key, and it's reading my value. Now let's view again the configuration file, and we see that it has added my section, my key, my value. Let's see what happens if we add a subsection, my section dot my subsection dot my key and my value. Right? Let's view the configuration file, and you see that my section and then my subsection is in the same square brackets of notation, and then you have my key. So this can be very helpful because you run on the day-to-day the git commands, but it's very useful to see the files which underlie it, because did you know that you have this branch, or which branches you have, and which remote URL they track. So now we simply know the configurations of Git, which is the local, the global, and the system-wide configuration. This is important because if you want to understand a system, usually what I try to understand a system, what I try to understand is first how to configure it. Also, when I go to a new job, then I first want to understand how to configure and then how to install it. Because once you know how to configure a system and how to install it, you know the basic files, you know the configurations, you know the skeleton. It's like knowing where the pipes go in your house. And the next time you try to use the git commands, you have a better intuition into what's going on inside there. So I know we deviated from the standard machine learning lectures we did, but this is important because you're using it on a day-to-day, so it's important to know how it works, and we'll cover more aspects of it in order to get more familiarized with it. So thank you for watching or listening, and I will see you next time.